Hello and welcome back to the Unstoppable Mumpreneurs Telesummit, where you can discover the habits, strategies, and insider secrets to overcoming any obstacle and earn an amazing income doing what you love. Now, in today's Telesummit, we have another absolutely awesome mompreneur on board. Her name is Andrea Cinnamond, and I am absolutely delighted to welcome you, Andrea, to the Unstoppable Mompreneurs Telesummit.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you. Thank you again. Great. Now, for listeners who don't know as much about you just yet, I will give them a little bit of an insight into Andrea. And do pardon me, I am reading her bio as I've been doing for the past several experts. Now, Andrea is a creative online business strategy and implementation specialist. She makes things happen. She is a trained business coach, technical virtual assistant, and a certified online business manager. She loves nothing more than creating beautiful projects for her clients, such as websites, telesummits, 30-day Facebook challenges, virtual seminars and teleseminar series, journals, quizzes, and many other cool things that can be offered online or in person. When Andrea isn't playing around on her computer, this ex-high-tech scientist is raising three gorgeous children, an 11-year-old daughter and twin 9-year-old boys, and their cat, of course, Amesbury, in the historic Back Bay of Boston, knitting up a storm. How many hats and cows does one person need? And sewing, reading, and going on countless spin and bar classes. Andrea, welcome again.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Great. So, Andrea, I'm going to hit you with the same question I've been asking everyone, and all the answers, of course, have been different. So, can you tell us a bit about yourself, your children, a bit about your journey into becoming a mompreneur, and what actually made you decide to start your own business?
Yeah, well, as I said, I was a high-tech scientist. I lived in a few different countries. I lived in Australia for 10 years before I moved to Boston. I'm actually a Canadian from the other coast. So now I'm in Boston. And I was working for a few years, and I had a daughter late in life. I had my first child, and I was been working for a long time, and I decided that I was home-based. I worked for a big instrument company, scientific instrument company, but I was home-based, and so I had clients all over Boston, and I never knew where I was going to be at the end of the day. My husband very nicely volunteered to drop her off at daycare, but I was going to be the one doing the mad dash at the end of the day for all parts of the city, trying to get back to daycare to pick her up. And, I thought about that, and I thought I'd worked so hard for so long that I just really wanted to enjoy this mom thing. So I retired from work, and I had my daughter, and then two years later, almost to the day, I had my twin boys. And so I was busy, but in January, the boys were 6 months old, and I was watching What Not to Wear. And it's this silly show, I don't know if you have it in England, but it's about a person who needs a new wardrobe. And this woman she was training to be a coach. And I thought I'd never heard of anything funnier in my life. I just thought, a coach? What a silly thing. And so, but it stuck in my head. And I woke up thinking about it, and I went to bed thinking about it. It popped into my head all the time going, God, I love my kids, but what could I do? By the end of the month in January, I was in a coaching school.
Oh, right.
Becoming a coach. So by the end of the year, I just fit it all in. My daughter went to preschool, and I had the twin boys, and so I took classes. The school I went to was based in Australia, and they had classes all through the day, at night, virtually. So I just picked up all my classes when the babies slept. And it was all online, so you could mute yourself or, mute your phone, and the babies could be screaming, but I could still be doing my class.
Yes.
And by the end of the year, I was a certified coach. But what I realized was the model wasn't going to fit me. I didn't have an hour to talk to someone on the phone because I had these small children. But I got offered an opportunity to be the e-marketing specialist for my coaching school. And so I helped organize these speaking series. And what I realized was I loved working in the background, organizing these talks for the coaching school. And I thought, well, this is kind of cool. And then I realized it was sort of an industry. And just like anything that you look at, like I'm a quilter. You wouldn't believe the tools and things they have for quilting, like the specialty items. When you just think quilting, like it's just fabric and So as I got into it, I realized there's this whole industry of virtual assisting. So I went to the school because I wanted to be accredited, and I wanted to be in a really good network of other virtual assistants. So I'm in this great network. If I don't know the answer, someone I know, mostly in person, I know them, will have an answer. We support each other. Then I decided to go to online business management school because I met the teacher that did that certification. She's in Canada, and I did that. But what I realize now is that I don't want to run the nitty-gritty of someone's business, but I like co-creating, like, what are you going to offer next? And how do we bring it together? And how are we going to make it work? But I don't want to do the money side and the, all that kind of stuff. But I just really want to do the creative business side. So I just find I have great clients that are good one-to-one coaches, like they're typically coaches or nutritionists or psychologists and things. And they have a great one-to-one business, but they want to reach more people. So I help them reach more people with telesummits like this, or journals that match their coaching programs, like cool things that really make me happy to create.
Great.
And so that's how I got into this, was sort of yearning for something, because I'd always worked hard in my life, but was home with kids. And fit this in. And as my kids have gotten older now, they're 11 and 9, really, can sort of take care of themselves. So I have less of that, and, I can work a little bit more, but we'll talk about some of my challenges later.
Yes, we'll get to those.
So that's how I fell into it, was, wanting to be with my kids, but also knowing that I love to do things. I love to work with people, and found this whole virtual world. Where rarely do I ever meet the people I work with. Like, I've worked with someone for 6 years. I've never met her in person.
Yeah. I can believe that. Awesome story. What I find, very, very intriguing is the fact that this whole coaching thing, you heard the word coach, and this part of your mind, your brain dismissed it, but the other part clocked it and would not let it go.
I wouldn't let it go. Then I started researching it, and by the end of the month, in like 27 days, I was in a coaching program.
There we go. Awesome. Fantastically powerful.
And to listen to that little part, was like, why was that sticking? Like, why was I seeing coaching books? And it was really, it was fascinating to look back.
It just says something about, our calling, that inner calling. It is it is present, it is powerful, so strong, and it would not let you go.
And sometimes it doesn't make any sense.
No.
That's out of the blue. But I needed to follow it. And it didn't take me exactly there, but it was part of that journey of discovering other things.
That's right. That's right. Part of the journey. Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. Really beautiful. Okay. Great. So I'll jump into the other one. What were some of the challenges that you've already alluded to, a couple of them, but what were specifically some of the challenges you faced in the early days of starting your business, and how did you overcome them?
Well, I'm still overcoming them because they're tricky, but it was hard to find a really good mentor that was able to bring it together quickly. So that's what I like to do for my clients, is to bring it together more quickly for them. Some of the things, and I still don't do it on my website, is that I really, like, if I was starting again, I would have my business, I would have my packages, and I would have something that someone could buy. Right up front, to get them in the buying mode, to get them like even buying 10 hours of my time, or something where they got into the motion of paying me. And where I got into the practice of, yes, I'd love to do that work. The buy button is on the pay for me page. Sort of like, never did that. And that was,
Why would you do that now, or recommend that it be done now?
Because it tells the world, I believe you're telling the universe that you're in business. And so, you can have a brochure website, but until you start saying, these are my services and this is how you pay me, and getting even that first little payment. Like, I remember talking to this mentor coach. I bought her program. And if you bought it, and the first 5 people bought it, you got 20 minutes with her. And I remember to this day, it was Suzanne Evans, who everybody knows. 20 minutes with Suzanne Evans. Years ago now, and she told me to charge things and to have it like on my website. Like, I remember that still. And because then you're telling the universe, if you're not telling your client, you're telling the world you're ready to accept money. And I think that was something that something that I didn't do. And the other thing that it lets you do is it lets you, like people want to do Facebook ads and things like that, but they're expensive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're not cheap. I mean, they're not super expensive, but it's a good idea that if you have 10 people sign up and one of those 10 people buy a package from you, then it sort of pays for the ads.
Yes.
And so, but I believe it also told the universe that you were ready.
That's a powerful piece.
Yeah.
That is a very, very powerful. It's setting that bigger intention and moving towards it.
Yeah.
And I know, definitely myself, when I started out, it's the fear we have.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us coaches, regardless of our qualifications in the world, regardless of the wealth of experience we're bringing with us from the corporate world or business, from life, we have all, those little doubts, those little niggles, that question of who are you to be charging?
Exactly. And what do I know more than the next person?
Exactly.
Yeah. And so I do believe that you're telling the universe even more than you're telling them.
Yes, I really do like that. I really do like that. And, it's super powerful coming from Susan Evans all those years ago, because
all those years ago.
Look where Susan is now.
Yep. No, and that was in her beginning days. And I remember that call. And she was like, charge them even a little bit of something, because then they they're buying from you. You get into the thing of asking for money. You value it because you're, I remember that call. I remember that 20 minutes with Suzanne Evans.
Beautiful. Lovely. I tell you, you know what? Let me jump in and say this. I usually say this around this time or a little bit earlier in the interviews series. Please grab your notebook and a pen and take notes, because Susan, quite like all the other experts we've had so far, has already begun tearing down the house with a whole host of valuable nuggets. I am taking notes, and I'd like you to take notes as well, because these things are valuable. This is what people pay thousands of pounds and dollars for. We're getting it here for absolutely free. So don't miss the opportunity. Thank you for that. Great. All right. So we talked about some of the early challenges for you. What are challenges that come up for you even now, where you're a lot more established in your business, and how do you manage those challenges?
Well, some of because I do different kind of work. It's not just sort of a flat package. I'm challenged by accounting for time and things. So I'm doing more flat rates for people so that I know what I'm doing that more. Like with the website, I now have like a more flat rate.
Okay.
And so that's made my life a lot easier, because I often will work with kids. I might work on it for half an hour and then 20 minutes here. It's not like I block out 8 hours in my day, because I don't have that. And so it's harder to keep track of all that time. And so I'm finding that ease for me and for my clients, that the flat rate, I'm starting to have more of a flat rate. If you want something extra, then it's added in, and I know how long it'll take me. And that's brought a lot of ease to my business. As a mompreneur, you're called away, and you think you have a day, and then you're called to school, or you're and it's just, I find it hard to keep track of all the time.
Absolutely.
So now the flat rate is suiting me better.
Fantastic.
So that's something that I'm doing, because my clients also want to know what it's going to cost.
Yeah, of course.
They don't want to get like a surprise at the end. So we sort of work out a happy balance. So that's really helped me a lot.
Okay.
In doing that.
Great. So I'm going to go back to something earlier here. To be clear, you do website building, or just advice on website layout? What is it that you do?
No, I mean, I do all kinds of things. Like, it depends on people's budgets. I do a lot of the graphics myself, but I do have a graphics person that I work with for the more higher end work, or for the client that's got more money and wants, something developed to a more fuller thing. But I've done quite a few lately, websites sort of on my own, and I use a WordPress theme that's very flexible, and you can make it look different for everybody. But because I'm a coach and I can kind of coach them through, like, what do you want to say? And, this is how you should tackle it. And how are you going to deliver your summit? Or, take your business apart and let's put it in a journal. So when your clients sign up, that's like added value, and they can keep their notes in the journal for the program length. And, put some quotes of yours in, like, just sort of creatively adding value to their businesses.
Yes.
I'm learning quizzes now with this, with a WordPress plugin. Quizzes are a very cool way to get an email exchange, an email address exchange, but it's easy to consume product because they click through the quiz and they're able to actually get the right output at the end. Because I'm doing a very complicated quiz for somebody, and the comments back from people is they don't add up the numbers right. Right. Then they don't actually put themselves in the right archetype for this quiz. And then nothing quite feels right. So when the coach goes back over it, they realize they've made these mistakes. So we want to take all that out of it. And so I'm doing things like that because quizzes are easy to consume. They are. We've all done them. How much water do you drink in a day? 9, 8 glasses, 10 glasses. You click through it really fast, and then it gives you sort of like, you should drink more water. Rise in the morning. Like, sometimes it's pretty basic, but these quizzes were kind of fun. And so, we're looking at adding in that kind of value because I'm the thing that I'm going to give away later is a template for creating a free offer for in exchange for an email address. So I'm always looking for different ways to get that email address that's easy to consume, that people want to do, like pique that curiosity factor.
Yes. Great. We'll get to the free gift also. Lovely.
So I do all kinds of things.
Okay. Sorry, go on.
I'm not just your regular. I'm not just a regular assistant where you send something to, and I just put it up with mistakes and everything. Like, I edit things and I add things, and my clients, because my clients get into a headset as well of they're not enough, and so they're nervous about writing this stuff. So then I go in and edit it, and they're like, "Oh, that's way better." So I help them along. I want to say.
I think that's great, and that's why I wanted to sort of tease that out a bit more and make it clearer to people listening. Because it's the question. Your question for me was, are you a virtual assistant? But as I read, I thought, no, you do much more. I've been following you for a while as well. You do much more. But for those members of our audience who are new to you, it's just to get clearer to them what it is you do. And
my clients sort of call me their silent business partner.
There we go.
Because, I care about their businesses and I want them to shine. And so we look for places that, we can work together on. So, I've got clients that are very much relieved to know that I'm on their team, helping them along. So, more than that. Yeah.
Great. That comes through. That really comes shining through very, very clearly. Great, Andrea. Lovely. Okay, so what is the number one, having worked for as long as you've worked with, I'm sure both men and women, but with mompreneurs in particular, yourself one, what is the number one obstacle you see holding most mompreneurs back? And what advice would you give them to help them overcome that obstacle?
Keeping it really simple. One of my values are simplicity and beauty. And so I totally believe in simple is easy to maintain. Things start to get too complicated, they break. And really just to keep it really as simple as you can with as, minimal moving pieces that, links don't break, and just being, really clear. And that comes from a confidence and a clarity of what your offer is, and then really sticking to that. Because if you look at many of the successful people, like Suzanne Evans, she doesn't have a lot of bells and whistles. No. She just does one thing, and she gets you to the event, and then she coaches you through the year. Like, you start having too many offerings, or you start, second guessing, I guess, what it is you do. I find simplicity, keeping the flow really easy and natural, and just really sticking with that, your gift.
Yes.
And knowing that it's enough, and just elaborating on the gift.
I like that.
Yeah. So I think that because we have limited time, we've got to make it count. And so, part of it is using, tools that work for you because you have limited time. Scheduling tools, making appointments, like have an app that lets you, lets people schedule appointments with you, so you're not doing this email back and forth. there's social media tools that will
Mhm.
work for you
Mhm.
so that you don't have to do the work at all. So there's
Mhm.
things
Mhm.
like that can
Yes.
automate a lot of that. So you don't even have to think about that.
Mhm.
And so, because your time is valuable as a mom, like,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
it's not like money's the limit, it's time is the limit. And so you really need to be able to purpose your stuff. So the simplicity of it, this is my offering. It's clear and it's simple.
I like that.
Yeah.
I really do like that, because I think, especially in the beginning, it's simplicity, and here's an oxymoron. Simplicity can be difficult to
Yes.
achieve. But
Absolutely.
yes, because
Yeah.
there are so many shiny objects. There are so many gurus out there telling you it is this way. No, it is that way. And you have sometimes just choice overload, really.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yes, it's just focusing, and I loved what you said here about sticking with your gift and knowing it is enough.
Mm-hmm.
That's very comforting and very focusing. I do love that, really do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great, great. All right. So, do you believe? And we've had several different. This if there's a controversial question in here, it'll be this one. I love it.
Mm.
So, do you believe that anyone, or indeed any mom, can become I should have said, holistically successful entrepreneur?
I'm not sure if everyone could, because you have to have a boldness. There is a loneliness sort of factor. That's
Mm,
something, you're, I think about when I worked, I didn't go into a job unless they had a purchase order for a couple $1,000s, like
mm,
that, just to get me there. But then somehow when I work for myself, all of a sudden I'm not worth that. It's sort of a funny shift that,
yeah,
like, it's
yes.
like weird. So you don't have that company saying, like, this is what it costs to get her into your business because she
Hmm.
works for us. All of a sudden you're by yourself. And so you've
Hmm.
got to be pretty tough. It's a tough go.
Hmm. Hmm.
But if you know what it is you do, there's some crazy businesses out there that do the craziest things that have a roaring business. So it's nothing to do with what you do.
Hmm.
It's all to do with how you feel about it, how focused you are on it, and how you believe in it, and you just keep moving forward. And how I describe it is it's like a 747 taking off. Like a 747, I lived in Australia. That was the only plane that went there. I love the 747. It's like a big living
Yeah.
room. Not on. I don't like those little planes. They're noisy and they're like
Yes.
you're crunched in. But I used to get on those planes and I used to count how many seconds it took it to take off,
Hmm.
because it just takes forever.
Hmm.
It takes a couple minutes sometimes. It just starts to roll and it rolls and it rolls and it rolls. And that's like an entrepreneur, a soulpreneur mom's business.
Hmm.
It sort of starts and you've got some concepts and you start it slowly and you
Hmm.
rumble down the runway, and it takes time. It's got to build up a momentum, and it can be discouraging. And, you want people to like read every blog post or whatever, it's just that it's slow, but it's like that 747 taking off. Then you take off and it's like, I get it now. And then, to have a coach or someone to be advising you. For instance, my client, she wants to get partners to help promote her program.
Hmm.
So a lot of people, have calendars that are booked out for 6 months.
Yes.
And so she came back to me. She said, all these people, they're booked out for 6 months. And then let's set the next date, April 2nd.
Yes.
And so then she was able to go back to them and say, my next course is going to be April the 2nd. They said, we'll be glad to promote it.
Yes.
And it's on their calendar. But if she'd sort of gone, they couldn't promote because their calendars are full. It's like, well, when isn't it full? And then she was able to go back to them with the date and the promotion material, like really sort of saying, I mean business.
Yes, absolutely.
Telling the universe, but also not letting that fall through the crack. Like, well, they can't put me on a calendar. It's like, well, pick a next date.
That's right. And it's not stopping at the obstacle, isn't it?
Right.
Problem solving through the obstacle.
Right. And so it's like, okay, they book out 6 months in advance. Well, then you have to pick a date 6 months in advance.
Yeah.
Oh, how do I do that? It's like, you pick a date. You pick a date. You look at your calendar and you look for holidays and major things, and you just you plop it in there and you go, great, second week in April, but it just didn't occur to her. So like that, sometimes it just doesn't occur to you that people do that.
Absolutely. And no judgment to this lady either,
Right.
A lot of us, we think it has to be complicated.
Yeah.
It can't possibly be simple. It has to be complicated. And that keeps us.
And it doesn't. And often, your intake course, your little course that gets people started, like how to, burrito wrap a baby to sleep tight. Offer that same course. Like I find that some people want to change it all the time. Well, then someone who couldn't take it the first time goes to take it the second time and it's different. Like you can always offer sort of like basic CPR or basic first aid. They don't make it fat and fancy, or they just, I'm going to take the next course of it.
Yeah.
And so, just staying the course and getting people familiar with it, and that you're in for the long run. Again, telling the universe, I'm going to teach this course this fall, and then I'm going to teach it again next spring, and here are the dates, and then I'm going to teach it again next fall, and you have those dates on your calendar.
Yes.
And then the universe will fill those for you in a sense. If you do the other work, the blog posts, the communication with your network, social media, telling people what you do, talking to people. But you keep those things in landmarks, because then it knows that you're serious.
Yes.
Instead of sort of going, well, what am I doing next? Like you book these things. So, again, it sounds simple, but it's not always obvious, because you feel like you're, like the 747 goes, I'm not off the ground yet. Oh no, I'm not off the ground yet.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I'm not ready to be off the ground yet. I'm still, getting momentum to get off the ground. And so there's a slow wind up. This building is slow, but then you start getting momentum. You start, you start doing things. You even start sharing resources. Like I share my instant teleseminar with another person. I share lead pages with somebody. You can share some of these resources as well, because you start like networking and getting out of the house and things. So there's, lots of opportunities, but it's really believing in it and just having a plan for, like, I believe in this thing, so I'm going to do a bunch of videos on showing people how to burrito wrap a baby. I'm going to research where to buy the burrito wrap fabric, and I'm going to post that to my blog.
Yes.
And I'm going to have this and that, and I'm just going to do everything about that, and I'm going to be the expert in that.
Yes.
It's it's kind of busy work at the beginning, but it lays that foundation.
It does.
Yeah,
it does. I hear you on that. I certainly do. And you've spoken to something else as well. The importance of setting your intention for one thing, and yes, the universe knows you're doing that. God, the universe, Allah, Buddha, whatever it is, with all due respect, and so they already know what it is, but I believe, actually, they want to see you do your part.
You can't just say it.
No.
You've got to be in action. You've got to take action. In the motion of it. And because it's what you love to do, like people say, what do I blog about? Like I had a friend who was a nutritionist, and I go to the store and look at what people are struggling. Like look at them looking in front of the oils. Like, I don't know what oil to buy. There's so many choices. Like, blog about that. Or blog about the kid having the meltdown at the chocolate bar section at the checkout. Like, blog about real life things. Like, you should see the world through your eyes.
Yes.
Of what you believe in to be true. There's examples of it everywhere.
Of course.
And you just tell people that even though it's obvious to you, people want to get that information.
Yes.
And so, yeah. And it just takes that quiet confidence.
Yes. No, very true. Very true.
Yeah.
Totally get that.
Yeah.
Totally get that. Lovely. So, on to the life balance question. So, which do you tend to veer more towards, life balance or a blend?
Oh, it's a blend. There's balance. I'm a Libra, so I'm all about balance.
Yeah.
It goes in ebbs and flows, and there are days when it's just, you're up late, you're up early, I just feel you've got to blend it into your day, and plan. There's sometimes I can't wing things. I have to think a few days in advance. And the scientist in me, I try to look the night before, like, what do I need to do tomorrow? And maybe it's just printing out some stuff. So while I'm with the kids, I might just be printing out some stuff. So I'm ready for the next day, stuff that doesn't really engage my brain, but I'm ready for the next day. So, so I do look at my calendar and go, okay, I need to do that and have that ready. And I need to think about when I'm going to do that and make these phone calls tomorrow. And so there's that kind of thing. But no, I think it's always a blend.
Yes. Yes.
Because you just don't know whatever's coming, you just don't know.
That's very true. That's very true. You talked about doing it the day before, having a look at things, and I certainly do that as well. I know a lot of mompreneurs who do. For me, I find it helps to set me up for the day to come. So I kind of flow into that the next day with a lot more ease, a lot more at least headspace organization.
Yeah.
I think it's perfect. And yes, monkey wrenches would come and kind of throw things off kilter, but it allows me to get back on when those moments happen. It allows me to get back on track.
Yeah.
A little bit easier.
Yeah. Yeah. And taking, the whole thing of if something seems too big at a time, just break it down into steps. So if one of them is make PayPal buttons, you go make PayPal buttons, you go, oh, I've made the PayPal buttons, like it's forward movement. So, break things down into littler steps. Often they don't have to be done in any order. They just need to be done. And then you just go, wow, I've got almost every step done. So now I can bring the meal together. Like mise en place, there's a lot of prep work to cooking.
Yeah.
Actual cooking is nothing, but you've got to wash the stuff, you've got to chop it, you've got that room temperature. So there's a lot of that prep work. So oftentimes your steps of the big project are these separate steps of prep work. And then you realize that now today I can bring it together.
Bring it all together.
Yeah.
Bring it all together. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, what impact, Andrea, has being a mompreneur have on your children?
Oh, I think they see me, they see me constantly learning new things, teaching myself new software or, learning a new trick in Photoshop or something. Cause I'm often like, oh, look at this, I can do this. And so they see me always learning, which is good when they're trying to struggle. I might be next to them learning something in Photoshop while they're trying to learn their multiplication table. So I think that's good for that. And then, my daughter sees me doing things that are, outside the box, and my kids see me doing things that aren't of the traditional role. My son, he loves video games. I mean, he could probably have a video game company. He sees that anything's possible.
That's right. Let them know that.
They see me on telecalls with big name people that, travel the world and have these portable businesses. So I think they see that there's also more things than that generic 9-to-5 job in a place. That you can take what seems to be a silly idea and make it be a business, because that's, because there's lots of people with businesses where you just go, wow, that's a business. But it is.
It is,
So nothing's too silly for business.
There we go. So opening up that flexibility of thinking and possibility. And
always learning something new. Yep. Yeah, I'm never done learning. Like they say, I don't want to go to school. I'm like, I'm always going to school.
Absolutely.
I'm always learning something new.
Absolutely. And the beauty is you model that for them. We do model that for them.
Right. Yes. And perseverance and, Yeah. No. So I think it's good.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. So our final question, Andrea, what would you say is the number one habit, the number one strategy, and the number one insider secret that's been responsible for you achieving and sustaining the success you now enjoy?
I'm having a plan.
That's your habit. Number one habit, yeah?
Yeah, probably plan. And mompreneurs, you got to be organized. You don't have time to be winging things. So, really having a plan and being organized, I think are pretty pivotal, and keeping it simple. My business really, if I have my laptop with me, I have almost everything I need, and so it's a pretty portable business. We have a second home. And so I go up there and I can still do my work because it's all sort of with me.
Yes.
But it requires and discipline. Like when the kids are at school, I find I still waste time when they're at school, when I really should be working hard then And so then, like, I used to get to the point where I'd be mad at them. My newsletter would be late. You know, I'd be late setting up a newsletter, and I'd be mad at them. And I go, but I sort of didn't work hard today. So it's not really their fault. But then you'd be mad at them because you're mad at yourself. So I've really, really gotten rid of a lot of that stuff. Is that I just know I can't live like that. My family can't live like that. And then so I really try to have discipline that when they're not here, that's, you know, because I can't get distracted by baking cookies. Like, oh, cookies would be nice after school. And I'll just throw that load of laundry because you're at home, right?
Yeah.
Some days you just, you know, you're in that. I'll go, we have a brand new Boston Public Library has been renovated. So I go there. Where I know that I'm actually much more efficient there. Yes. Because I just bang through my tasks. I look and I just bang through my tasks. So I actually go there for a few hours and just go, wow, I've done a ton of stuff. And so you just got to know yourself. And discipline is pretty key. Yeah.
I agree with that. I certainly agree with that. It is a biggie.
Yeah.
Great.
So there's still room for improvement.
Always. Always.
You know, by the time they leave in the morning, I sort of have to have another cup of coffee, and then I relax for a bit, and then I realize it's 9:30 and an hour's gone by, and, you know, but it's, you know, I'm a mom too.
Yes.
You know,
yes. So, you're able to get back on track. It's funny how, you know, those cookies want baking when you have the most work to get on with. You know, it's a funny old thing.
Well, I call it pro-baconating instead of procrastinating. Pro-baconate.
Pro-baconate, I like that. Yeah. Good. I do like that. Have a plan and be organized. Keep it simple. That simplicity thing coming up there again.
Yep.
And being disciplined. And it does require discipline.
Yeah, because you can do it in a few hours a week, but you just gotta know exactly what you're doing. You gotta know what it's for. It's part of the process. You're not wondering, what am I doing next? It's like, this is what I'm doing, and just doing it and being done with it. You know.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Great. Well, that brings us to the end of our set of questions, Andrea, and this is where I hand it over to you. Tell our listeners all about that amazing free gift offer that you have available for them.
Well, I know that staring at a blank piece of paper, when, like, my number one thing about websites is that you should have a free offer in exchange for their email. We've all done it. We've gone to someone's website and gone, wow, I'm really curious about that report they've got. You know, no one these days wants to sign up for their newsletter. Like, it's just not enticing enough. There's a million newsletters. But if you have the top 5 tips for, you know, taking care of, you know, a screaming baby, whatever it is, people just go, oh, I need that right now. You know what? I can think of 3 things, but I'd like to know what our other 2 are. Or, you know, the 10 tips for this. You know, I can think of 7 reasons, but I'd like to know what she thinks the important. And you sign up for these reports. So that's key to having a website, is to being able to exchange a name, an email for that gift.
Indeed.
And there's lots of services that do this. They're called, you know, autoresponder services.
Yes.
So like Aweber, Mailchimp. You type in your name and they send you a report. Well, I have a template that helps you sort of almost fill in the blanks. Like the cover page is like, why is this report so important to you? Well, I believe that people don't drink enough water, and if they drank more water, they'd eat less junk and they'd feel more clear. You know, like, you write down why it's important, and then you write your report, which could be 10 tips, checklist. It could be a case study. It could be a before and after story. You know, whatever fits your business, like whatever would be compelling from your business, and you just write a little thing, and at the end you write a little call to action with your little bio and what do you want them to do next. You know, I want you to buy, there's this little program you can buy from me, or there's a link to my calendar to have a strategy session with me. So, you know, you really have to tell people what exactly to do next. So you have this little report. It shows you what to write for the cover page, how to write the report, and how to end it with this call to action. And so it's sort of more fill in the blanks. So you don't have to stare at this empty paper and don't know where to start. So it's a 15 or 18 pages long. And it's just this template, like follow the guide to having this free report. And I need to really update it because now I'm doing these quizzes, which is actually sort of exciting.
Yes.
As a different free offer. And so I'm not quite there yet with an offer for something like that. But anyone's interested in quiz creation. It seems to be like the newest thing. And the tool I've got lets you do custom quizzes. So that's
okay.
People want to reach out.
Okay.
But yeah, so they can go to the link that's going to be on the recording.
Right. Yes, it will be. It will be.
Get my template.
Fantastic. That does sound like quite an offer, to be honest with you. Just giving people some idea as to, because we're all, it's recommended to all of us to do exactly that, but a lot of us don't know where to start.
Right. Right. And I think there's an addition in there to email follow-up, which is the next thing that people don't do, is I also sort of give some ideas, like if you have 10 tips, you could make that into 20 follow-up emails. Because my premise is that most people don't actually read the gift, but if you deliver it in bits and pieces in the email after, so if you have 10 tips, you just make those into 20 little stories or 20 little tips, like break them up and deliver them twice. And then you've got 2 or 3 months of follow-up email once a week, which is where the people, they get into the mood where they're in pain of some sort, or they need your help. And finally, one day they see an email from you and they go, I'm going to reply and work with her because I really like the way she's taught me these things. So I also give some help about, creating those follow-up emails.
Fantastic.
Because that's another thing that people don't know what to, I don't know what to say.
Yeah. Very true. So you've laid that out there, a truly generous offer, and I thank you for that, and I'm sure our listeners would find that very, very, very helpful, very valuable. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Great. Andrea, that brings us to the end of our amazing interview exchange here. Truly, truly valuable nuggets shared by yourself. I really appreciate it. Thank you. So with that, we shall call it a wrap on this one. Yeah.
Sounds like a deal.
Okay, great. And listeners, please jump in there and get yourself Andrea's free offer. Sounds absolutely value-packed. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, listeners. And you're very welcome. And we'll meet again soon, you guys, for another awesome interview. Thank you, Andrea. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.